Moving on to some more general topics where we don't really discuss any specific trades. Any other trades that we didn't specifically mention that any of us want to briefly talk about? Garth, I'll start with you on this one.
Off the top of my head, let's see. I guess I could go with my team here, Tanner Janot, a guy who I really wanted. Obviously, a lot of people look at that trade and see how much the Lightning gave up in return and go, holy hell, that's a lot. And you know what? It is. We did give up a lot. I think it shows that the front office is still completely in win now mode, which I'm not opposed to because obviously we mentioned it a lot tonight on the show for other teams. Our window is getting ever so short. Our core is getting up there in age. Let's face it, guys like Hedman, Stamkos, Cooch, are not getting any younger. So it's a 50-50 there for me. I think it really depends on how he pans out. If this is kind of like with a Brandon Hagel situation where he does improve considerably and end up being a top 6 guy for us on a nightly basis, it's a better move. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out, honestly.
Brian, any other trades that didn't mention that kind of stick out to you?
Well, I think there's 2 teams that stand out to me, both for the wrong reasons. Number one, I don't have a clue what the Vancouver Canucks are doing. They make this Bo Horvat deal. They get the first round pick. They start to maybe sell a little off, and all of a sudden they're picking up Philip Hronek from Detroit for a 1. And yeah. I don't know what you're doing. Like, I'm perfectly fine if there's direction, right? Like, losing is an option, right? This isn't Apollo 13. Like, you can be bad for a while, accumulate picks, and come out of it. That's kind of what teams do. This weird purgatory where you're kind of selling, you're kind of buying, you're not making the playoffs, you're signing guys to long-term deals. I don't think they have a clue what they're doing in Vancouver, and they're probably not going to be good for a very long time. And I see Ray made the comment, the Philadelphia Flyers are just an absolute joke. Like, I hate the Flyers with every fiber of my being, but I will tell you that I tweeted that even my Flyers fans friends who I laugh at all the time, that they don't deserve this level of front office malfeasance, because again, pick a direction and go. Either you're going to try to contend or you're not going to, and you're going to sell off. You're going to build your team up. The problem with the Flyers is they kind of went all in with a real shitty hand, and they locked themselves into these contracts with Sean Couturier and the Ryan Ellis trade. I don't even think he's alive anymore. He might be dead. And some of these other things. And then they decide to trade assets and value for Rasmus Ristolainen, and then they sign Tony DeAngelo, and then they give Arizona a number 2 to take Shane Gostisbehere, who then they flipped him for a 3. So Arizona is just making picks left, right, and center. And how on earth they got past 3:00 on Friday and still managed to keep James Van Riemsdyk on their roster? If they had gotten a 7th round pick in 2059, it was more than they got for keeping James Van Riemsdyk. And then they put the GM out there for a press conference and like, hey, I tried to make a deal. Nobody offered me anything. I'm like, you are the worst salesman in America. How do you not go find one of these teams and just say, hey, here's a guy, 30-goal scorer for you. Like, we'll keep some money. We'll take one of your bad. It could not be any worse. I went to the Rangers game in Philadelphia on Wednesday of last week, and the Rangers fans took over that building. We are not talking about Long Island. We are not talking about Newark. We're talking about Philadelphia, one of what should be, as much as we hate them all, the top markets in the NHL. And Ranger fans overwhelmed the building. If you listen and watch Tarasenko's overtime goal, the woo when they scored on the road, louder than when they do it in New Jersey. They always take over the Rock. In the playoffs, they'll do that too. I don't know what to do if you're the Flyers. You can't rebuild and you can't contend. You are literally in 7 years of bad luck. Like, you must have broken 10 mirrors. I don't know what else you could talk about. They are horribly run, and people still keep their jobs. If I was that bad at my job, I'd be fired twice on the same day. I don't understand how this guy keeps his job. It's really look.
Yeah.
I'm not upset to see it. I know Noah, neither are you.
No, I
But
love
it's
it.
really kind of like, how does this happen in professional sports? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I think the thing Chuck Fletcher was doing, because he's such an idiot, I honestly think he was looking to trade JVR, trying to get value back. But the thing is, he's a UFA. He's overpaid. I mean, just try and give him to a rebuilding team that wants to get close to the cap or whatnot. Then he walks in the offseason, get whatever he can. Like, I don't know what the hell he was doing. Obviously, I don't think he does either. Jesse saying, did you mention Ivan Barbashev? We have not, but I do think it's an interesting trade. St. Louis is obviously selling the house. So to get Zach Dean back is pretty good. And Vegas just trying to, add some more experience to their team. Y'all mentioned Timo Meyer. We mentioned him much earlier in the show, John. If you want to see our thoughts on that, go back and watch. It was the second segment of the show.
One move that I just thought of that kind of was that under the radar, nothing flashy, nothing sexy, but I think it was a really good addition, was the Dallas Stars going out and getting Max Domi.
Yeah, I do
He's
like
having
Domi.
a fantastic year, and that's a team that has looked pretty good in the West so far, but needed depth scoring badly. I think I read something where their top six makes up for like 68% of their points.
Jesse says that's the GM. John, I think the Devils are doing good, especially for the future. Timo Hughes and probably next year Hughes' younger brother, which might be better than Jack. Well, they play different positions, so I don't know about that, but Couturier was unfortunate. Well, look, it was his decision to sign that contract. I mean, I know he was offered a lot, but
it's an 8-year deal.
Yeah.
Like I at some point, like, what were you doing with Kevin Hayes?
Kevin Hayes, oh my God.
What were you doing with Ristolainen? What were you doing with D'Angelo? Here's one for you. Travis Sanheim has an 8-year extension that kicks off next season. And the coach benches him in Calgary where his family's all in a suite or something. Like, are you? And I'm a Torts guy, right? I have no problem with John Tortorella. But like, really? Mm-hmm. How do you didn't trade Justin Braun? You didn't trade
yeah.
Funny to me. I just have to laugh.
I mean, the team is so terrible, and they're already having to use LTR to even be cap compliant. Someone did mention, yes, where was it? Ray, thank you. Ron Hextall, who did sign the JVR contract, then decided to give contracts to guys until they're 49 years old, like I said. I'm half convinced that Ron Hextall is the Flyers' double agent and is purposely tanking the Pittsburgh Penguins into mediocrity. Torts has it all figured out. What else? That's a recency trade, in my opinion. I don't think he keeps that production up. One trade I did want to mention, guys, that we haven't talked about. How about Matthias Ekholm to the Oilers? I like this trade because what have we always said about the Oilers? Fantastic offense, two of the best forwards, including the best forward in the league, in McDavid and Draisaitl, but they can't defend, a wet paper bag. Their goaltending stinks. So they trade one of their offensive defensemen in Tyson Barrie. They just throw whatever else in, Schaefer and a couple picks, and they get back Matthias Ekholm, who is a defensive first defenseman, which is what I really like, to kind of give them more stability on the blue line, because they need to fix that D. I mean, we saw it last year. McDavid and Draisaitl were going off. It was like they had 30 points in 15 games or something. It's ridiculous. And what do you know? They play Colorado and get their doors absolutely blown off because they finally played a team that can match their offense but had a way better defense and more capable goaltending. Not even elite, just more capable. And they got killed. So, I think that's kind of an under-radar trade that people might not mention, but I think it kind of fills a need that the Oilers really needed.